This is Bobby C, and we begin our look at sports this week out at Rose Hill, where Fordham men's basketball ran into one of the top teams in the country. Fordham played a spirited first half in front of the hometown faithful, but ultimately URI was just too strong, taking a 36-27 halftime lead and then really opening things up in the second half.
Rhode Island certainly is the class of the league. To beat them, a team really needs to play well as far as value of the ball, and so we didn't do that. We had 23 turnovers. You know, against a team that good, there are very few ways to beat them, but one way is you just have to get a shot up every possession.
The 24th ranked team in the country is now 8-0 in the A-10. They had 3 players finish in double figures, including 20 points from Andre Berry.
We don't always play perfect. Basketball in terms of the shooting and we get a little sloppy with the ball at times, but I just think we show up every night. We show up with intensity and focus, and these guys are about winning, and they've created that culture.
This senior group, we understand that what it's going to take to have a chance to go deep in the tournament. So I think it's just our mindset and what the coaches instill in us every day. We try to find a couple things for each team that'll keep the fire, keep the fire going, making us mad and just playing with anger, we just try not to let up.
And Fuego, URI has won 11 in a row. They could be a team to watch come March Madness. Back here in the Big Apple, Fordham men's basketball is trying to get on track, and so is St. John's under Chris Mullen. St. John's is 3-21 in the month of January. All 3 wins came last season. Mullen recently lost out to former foe Patrick Ewing, now the head coach at his alma mater, Georgetown, as well. On the NBA hardwood, Walt Clyde Frazier's message to Kristaps Porzingis: suck it up. The Knicks legend said the first-time All-Star should have played Tuesday night against the defending champion Golden State Warriors. Even though the team said he was suffering from left knee irritation, he's on the threshold of greatness, Frazier said. But you got to go against the Warriors, man. I said this on a pregame show on 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area. We've played against some elite teams this year, and he hasn't been ready to play. The Knicks would go on to fall to Golden State, and then last night to the Nuggets in Denver, where the orange and blue can add Joakim Noah to the drama. Noah is on leave for personal reasons, according to the team, but sources say that Noah left the Knicks due to frustration over playing time. He's one of my favorite players all time, but it looks like injuries have sabotaged him and that his expensive signing will likely go down as one of the worst in franchise history. On a brighter note, Porzingis was selected by LeBron James in the All-Star draft on Thursday. He's joined in the front court by Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, LaMarcus Aldridge, James, and Kevin Love. Knicks rookie Frank Ntilikina will play for the World Team in the Rising Stars game during All-Star Weekend in Los Angeles in February. New format this year for the NBA, with James and the other leading vote getter, Steph Curry, making the selections as opposed to the traditional East versus West format. James kicked things off by making the #1 overall pick after he was named the All-Star Game's leading vote getter. Picks subsequently alternated between the 2 captains for the rest of the first round until the 8 remaining starters were selected. Curry's team then made the first pick of the second round when all 14 reserves were eligible to come off the board. Once the draft was over, James and Curry reflected on the process and said they hope to see it televised in 2019. LeBron has Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant among his notables. Curry has James Harden and the Greek Freak on his side. Must be nice. Bronx native Kemba Walker made the All-Star team in 2017, but he is among the notable snubs this winter. Walker may also be on the move from Charlotte, where reports rumor that Michael Jordan might be trying to trade his point guard. But of course, there's a reason why Jordan won't trade his starting point guard without getting an All-Star in return. The Hornets' struggles aren't because of Walker, who has been his typical whirling dervish self on the offensive end. The Hornets play like one of the best teams in the league with Walker on the floor, with an offense that could rival the Warriors and the Houston Rockets of the world. Walker's personal net rating is 17.5. He's had a bigger positive impact on his team than LeBron James. The Knicks should go all in, but expect to trade Ntilikina and draft picks if you want the 27-year-old from the BX. Time for some quick hitters. The hockey locals wrapped up the pre-All-Star game slate Thursday. All-Star weekend is this weekend in Tampa, Florida. The game itself is this Sunday. The NFL's All-Star Game is also on Sunday. The Pro Bowl kicks off at 3 p.m. on ESPN from Orlando, Florida. The puck drops at 3:30 Eastern Time on NBC for the NHL All-Star Game. The New England Patriots and the Philadelphia Eagles will meet in the Super Bowl next Sunday, with the Pats just having enough to get past Bronx native Doug Marrone and the Jacksonville Jaguars last weekend in the AFC Championship game, and the Eagles rolling past the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC title game. A shame for Minnesota with the Super Bowl coming to town next Sunday, but Nick Foles showed he was the better of the backup QBs in leading the Eagles' dominant defense to a rout of the Vikings. Meanwhile, Brady and his injured hand still were enough to get past the Jags, who played very well but could still use an upgrade over Blake Bortles at QB. In the Big Apple, the Giants made an upgraded head coach, albeit likely not their first choice. Pat Shurmur, who has head coaching experience with the Cleveland Browns, was named coach of the New York Giants on Monday. Shurmur spent the past 2 seasons as the Vikings offensive coordinator. The Giants made the hiring of Shurmur official. He becomes the 18th head coach in franchise history. Shurmur wasted little time making roster moves, too. He claimed former Vikings tight end Kyle Carter off waivers. Shurmur also made a strong hire in Cardinals defensive coordinator James Bettcher, who is one of the rising young stars in the NFL. Bettcher has agreed to join Big Blue in the same role. He is taking over a defense that ranked 31st in yards allowed per game in 2017. Ouch, got his work cut out for him. The Jets may have their work cut out with up-and-coming wide receiver Robbie Anderson, who was arrested for the second time in Florida. Anderson was one of the few bright spots for the Jets in 2017, but another arrest for the 24-year-old has left him no room for error in New York. Anderson reportedly faces 9 charges, including 2 felonies, stemming from an incident in South Florida, on January 19th. This marks Anderson's second arrest in the last 8 months, with the NFL slated to review the matter. The wideout is potentially subject to discipline under the league's personal conduct policy. This will be a big offseason for both the Jets and the Giants. The Jets have the 6th pick in a quarterback-rich draft. Veteran Josh McCown, coming off a career year, has already expressed his desire to return. I could still see the Jets going after a quarterback, but if they decide to stick with more defensive players, I would love to see them take Iowa cornerback Josh Jackson in the 1st round. Our BronxNet cameras saw him in the Pinstripe Bowl. Logic dictates that the Jets should take a quarterback here, but this is a franchise that loves spending 1st-round picks on defensive players. In fact, the last offensive player they drafted in the 1st round was Mark Sanchez way back in 2009. Jackson makes for a nice consolation prize after leading the nation in interceptions. I've gone back and forth on whether or not the Giants should take a QB, especially with Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, and Josh Allen in the mix. I would love to see them take a left tackle, but after reviewing the draft prospects, I really hope the Giants take Penn State's Saquon Barkley. I think the Penn State running back is the best player in the NFL draft. New GM Dave Gettleman showed in his time in Carolina how much emphasis he places on building a dominant rushing attack, and the Panthers have consistently been one of the teams that leans the most on the run. With no offensive lineman worthy of taking at number 2 for the Giants, that makes Barkley a perfect fit should the team bypass a quarterback on day 1. Barkley is right up there as one of the best prospects at his position, and possibly number 1 heading into the NFL in recent years. Allen, the Wyoming signal caller, said he would embrace going to the Giants and getting a chance to learn behind Eli Manning. He's got a big arm, but I would still go with either Barkley or Rosen. I could see the Browns taking Darnold or Allen with the 1st pick. On the baseball diamond, sources say Jose Reyes is set to return to the Mets on a 1-year deal, coming off a season in which he played 3 infield positions and the outfield. Reyes has agreed to remain with the Mets. The deal is worth $2 million plus incentives. The club has added veterans Jay Bruce, Adrian Gonzalez, and Anthony Swarzak this offseason. Not a lot of splash there for the Mets. Plenty of splash in the broadcast booth when it comes to Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod will join the ESPN team this season to work on Sunday Night Baseball telecast. Rodriguez replaces analyst Aaron Boone, who was named the manager of the Yankees, of course, this offseason. The New York Yankees minor league baseball team in New Jersey is adding a secondary name in honor of the state's favorite processed meat. The Trenton Thunder will rebrand the AA affiliate as the Trenton Pork Roll on Friday nights, beginning May 18th. No baloney here, folks. Players will wear special uniforms featuring the pork-based product, which is known as Taylor ham. Concessions will sell pork rolls, sandwiches, pork roll-themed merchandise will be for sale. It's just a pretty cool story right there. The Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown is set for a huge ceremony this coming July. The Veterans Committee already elected Tigers greats Jack Morris and Alan Trammell to join the 2018 Hall class, and the baseball writers added 4 more names on the list Wednesday night. Braves third baseman Chipper Jones, Indians and several others, first baseman designated hitter Jim Thome, Expos, Angels, and some others, outfielder Vladimir Guerrero, and Padres and others, closer Trevor Hoffman. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens saw only a minimal increase in their percentages. They have 4 years left on the ballot. In racing, it's F1's Fernando Alonso, and he wants to return to the Indianapolis 500. He's going to probably do it in 2 years from now. He wants to race Le Mans. He won't even rule out trying at least in a test a NASCAR stock car. He loves to race and will do so this weekend in the Rolex 24 at Daytona, a 24-hour sports car race that kicks off the international motorsports calendar. UFC 220 was a blast. Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic both victored in MMA. The two champs moved up in the pound-for-pound rankings. Those are the headlines. We hit the C-list for a throwback with a possible new look. WWE founder and chairman Vince McMahon announced Thursday he is giving a professional football league another go. It will be called the XFL, the same name of the league McMahon and NBC tried for one season in 2001, but it won't rely on flashy cheerleaders and antics as its predecessor did, he said Thursday. McMahon said he is the sole funding source for the league, which is slated to begin in January 2020, its first season. They will have 8 teams around the country playing a 10-week schedule. The initial outlay of money is expected to be around $100 million, the same amount of WWE stock McMahon sold last month and funneled into Alpha Entertainment, the company he founded for the project. The returning XFL will have 40-man rosters, a 10-game season beginning in January, 2-hour game time goal. Any player with a criminal record precluded from playing, and players won't receive a forum to take personal stance on social issues on the playing field, like kneeling during the national anthem. I think the XFL will work this time around. The country is ready for it. Tune in next Friday and be ready for my Super Bowl prediction. That's your sports. I'm Bobby C.